Hello and welcome to all dear students on Career Maker 247. As you all know, from today onwards, we are going to solve the questions of reasoning which are very important for all of us. So obviously in today's session, I am going to discuss the questions of coding and decoding. But before going into the questions, it is very important to know the concepts, as concepts are required to solve the question of coding decoding. So coding decoding also plays a vital role in all your other chapters like alphabetical series, alphanumerical series, followed by that machine input output. So the basic of coding and decoding is important to understand and to learn. Therefore, in this session, I am discussing the concepts and followed by that following questions. So what we are covering, champions, in today's session, it's a glimpse here which you can see. We are discussing definition of coding decoding, what is called coding decoding actually, then what are the types of question which they used to ask in coding and decoding, then tricks to learn the alphabetical positions. There are so many students, those who are still struggling to learn the position. They have certain shortcuts, but still sometimes they consumes a lot of time to identify the position of particular letter. So I'll be giving you a shortcut today through which you can solve the letter's position immediately. So that's very important part here. And then obviously solving any question of coding and decoding required certain logics, and that logics will be based on certain patterns. So I'll be telling you what is called logic and pattern here. Then we have types of question or coding and decoding. In that I am covering today basically two types, that is letter to letter and letter to number, which are the pillars actually. And then certain concepts of substitution coding, the basic concept of substitution coding I'll be discussing here. So let's start. Let's begin with the definition of coding and decoding. So see, this coding and decoding exists from very long time now. It comes from ancient times, in the time of kingdoms, kings. They also had this process, but it was having different form. If a king has to send a message to one king to other king during the war, so they used to encrypt the message by sending certain gifts. In that gifts, either it is a wooden gift or something like that, they used to write the the information, and then they used to wax it by using wax. They used to wax it, and then they used to send through the messenger the message to the person who wants to receive it. Meanwhile, if somebody else was able to learn or read the message, they were unable, because they were thinking that, oh, it's a gift, and therefore they used to they were unable to understand actually what it is. So this messenger was successfully able to send the message from one place to another. So that was the time, that was an era from where we are using coding and decoding. But now coding and decoding is a bit different here when I say, but yeah, the main theme, the main reason behind still doing this process is same: to secure the message. That's the reason behind coding and decoding. What is the requirement? If somebody is asking why it is required, so obviously to secure your message to any eavesdropper or any person who is trying to decode your messages. So it's very important that you need to learn this, not only for reasoning but also for upcoming lifetime things, where if required you need to decode something, you at least in decoding, coding, decoding. And as you see, this chapter has two words, coding, decoding. Therefore, both the things we are applying here. We are applying coding as well as we are decoding also. So once we are decoding the process, we are using actually to code the data. It's a reverse engineering actually, which we are doing here in this particular chapter. First we are decoding actually, and then we are coding. So if somebody asks you what is called coding, it's very simple. Coding is nothing but changing one form into another form by using certain logics and pattern. Sometimes we are only using logic, sometimes we are only using patterns, or together also. Both can be used. So I'll be discussing that logic and pattern later on, but yeah, coding is changing one form into another form so that people will not understand your own data which you are trying to secure it by that people or that person. Now decoding is just reverse of that. Decoding is just opposite, means changing the second form into first form is known as by using the same logic and pattern. By using the same logics and patterns. That is called what? Decoding. So decoding is nothing but what logic or pattern we use, or together we use logic and pattern. By using that itself, we are once changing the second form to bringing that original data back is called decoding. Actually, this is very important for us. Whenever we are solving any question, we need to decode it first, and then we are coding it by using the same logics and pattern actually which we decoded. So every question has that particular process while solving it. Now, once after the definition of coding and decoding, it's very important to know the types of coding. What are the types of coding which they are going to ask you? So the very first type of coding is based on later to later. So one later is changed into another later by using certain logics and pattern. Then the second is called later to number, or vice versa, number to later, whatever it is given. So it's later to number, where later is changed in the form of number or number is changed in the form of later. Then third question will be based on substitution. This is very, very important nowadays. Lot of question used to ask from this. You may heard about Chinese coding, or you may heard about sentence based coding. So that's very important. I will definitely discuss it into the next part of this particular video. And then the last one is conditional coding, which comes in your clerical exam a lot. So conditional coding is also very, very important, where certain letters with their codes or numbers with their codes are given to us, and followed by that certain conditions given, and then question will be asked on it. So today I am covering these two and the concept of substitution, basic thing, and then in the next part we will go into the substitution in depth. Followed by that, we'll discuss about Chinese and sentence coding there only. Now, moving forward, it's very, as I said, later to later coding will be the first type. So obviously it is very important to learn alphabet positions. Alphabets are nothing, but it is called A to Z, as you all know. There are 26 alphabets, or you can say letters. Now, all of us knows what is called A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. But once it comes to the positions, there are very few students who learned it actually. And there are so many students, those who use this wrong practice called writing the letters position in their main exam in rough sheet. They used to, I saw so many students doing this while sitting into the hall and writing this in their rough sheet before starting of the exam. Dear students, it's not a good habit. If examiner is very strict, he may cancel your exam, or if in future may be possible, he can debar you for the rest of the examination for your life. So it's very important not to write anything on your rough sheet before starting of the exam. And if after the start of exam you are writing these things, it is waste of time, because in that 20 seconds, 30 odd seconds, you might have solved one question. So how to utilize your time properly in the exam is very, very important factor. Definitely, if you are willing, we will be discussing that also, how to effectively manage the time in later on sessions if required. So it's better not to write in the rough sheet, try to learn it. Then come short tricks. There are so many short tricks available in the market. When I was a student, I was also following those things. Like there is a shortcut called E-Jyoti. Then there is a shortcut. Actually it's a multiple of 5, nothing but multiple of 5. Then there was a shortcut called multiple of 3C. Then we have this F, then we have I, then we have L, O, R, U, X. That's nothing but multiple of 3. It's like a medicine name. This is some girl name. That is what we used to learn in this way. But the problem remains the same. Means suppose I'll be giving you a example here, the best example to understand what I'm trying to say. If I'm giving this you as a shortcut, what will be your hurdles in coming days? You have to understand. Suppose this is a road, as you can see with the visualization. I have a car and I have to run this car from this destination to this source, and the maximum speed of the car is 50 km/h, let's suppose. That's the maximum I can use it. So if I have to run this car on this road, and if I'll put speed breakers like this, let's suppose there are 5 speed breakers in between. So you also know, and everyone knows, it's a very basic phenomena that on every speed breaker the car speed will be slowed down, and obviously the average speed of this car will be neither 50 km, because obviously you are putting brake 5 times, nor it can be more than that, because that's the maximum speed you have. So obviously the average speed will be below 50 km/h. Means you have a capacity of running your car up to 50 km/h, but you are decreasing it by putting barriers like these in between your journey. So better not to use this hurdles. Try to find out, these are hurdles actually. You need to find out in which 2 letter actually the letter lies. Then you are counting in between where the letter is. It's a tough job. You need to do so many process. So what is the best thing? It's a road without any speed breakers. And the best way to learn it is you just record it. It's very simple. You have technology, you have gadgets, you have mobile phone. You just record it A1, B2, C3 like this till Z26. It's very simple for you. Like in Malayalam, if some song came, and if let's suppose you need to and somewhere somehow at some point of time you connected with that song, and you are thinking, okay, this is song which is relatable to my life at this stage. So what you do, you used to listen it. After listening few times, you found it very beautiful song, the track is very good, the lyrics is very good, so keep on listening it. And at one point, even before the singer sang that song, you are singing before him, as of he is listening you, and he is competing with you. That is what we do in our real day-to-day life. So how it happens actually, if you are interested in something and you are listening it continuously, after few times listening that particular thing, you will realize that you are now able to capture everything in your brain. So that is how your brain works. If you like something, you try to grab it, and for that your brain become more attentive than ever. So you try to record A1, B2, C3 like this. Hardly it will take a minute to record this data. Science backs you a lot. It's your voice, world's or universe best voice you have, and you are the first who hear your voice. So obviously all scientific things are backing here, apart from that logic which I told you. So once you listen, it will be very easily recallable, you can say. So do it 2, 3 times, 4 times maximum. If you are listening A1, B2, it will be automatically fed in your brain, and if somebody will ask you, R18 will come automatically from your mind. And that is not going to help you only in this learning the alphabetical positions. It can help you everywhere apart from this, in mathematical formulas, in current affairs, static GK, or parks, centuries. You can learn from here. Okay, so that's very unique way to learn anything, and it's a trick which I always use when I have to learn something. Now it's a very important part of this chapter, that is called logic and pattern. So if you know how to code things, then it will be an easy thing to go and solve while giving solution of any question. So there are 2 things actually in every question you will find. Either it will be logic or it will be pattern, or both together. Why I'm saying only logic, sometimes not the pattern. Pattern will be actually every time, but certain times logic will be not given, only patterns will be there. Fine. For example, what is called logic if somebody is asking you? So it's very simple. Logic is nothing but changing this form by another form by using that process is called logic. Let's suppose I am writing A as C. So what actually I am doing is I am changing the position of A by adding 2 in that to 3. So that's called increment in the position of A. That's called logic. Now if I have here as M and here I am writing J. So the position of M is 13, J is 10. So what actually I did, I subtracted 3 here. So what actually I am doing here is I am using the logic and decreasing the position of the letter by 3. So that's called decremental logic. And the third logic is, which is most or commonly used logic, is opposite letter. Opposite letters are nothing but if you are dividing number of letters by 2, you'll be getting 13 letters first, like this, which I am writing as of now. I, J, K, L, M, and the remaining letters, 13 letters from right to left as it is. P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. So A, Z will be opposite pair. Same goes with B, Y, C, X, D, W, E, V, F, U, G, T. These are called opposite letter pairs. They are opposite. To understand these letters, you can use their positions also. Like how to remember this? So obviously record it, or else the other thing is the sum of these two letters will be always 27. B, 2, Y, 25. Add those to 27. 3, 24. Add these two, 27. 4, 23. Add these two, it will be 27. So sum of two letters, if coming 27, they are always opposite to each other. Or else you can make certain words like from A to Z is one word you can remember the pair. BY, boy, CX, climax, DW, dew, so many things you can make from these two. EV, evening, eve, FU, fun, GT, goat, get, HS, high school, IR, Indian Railway, JQ, Jack and Queen, KP, Kerala Police, LO, lion, MN, man, moon, monkey. There are so many words you can make, but try to remember it because these are the frequent used logics which we have. And followed by that, obviously in alphabetical order letters can be given to you. Sometimes that logic you'll get alphabetical order might be A to Z or Z to A. They will give you. For example, if let's suppose I'm writing here recharge. So in this letter, if they are writing the code of recharge like this, that A, E, E, not A, E, A, C, E, E, then we have this G, then we have H, then we have this RR. So that's called letters are arranged in alphabetical order. See, these are arranged in alphabetical order. It might be in the reverse alphabetical order also, might be written in this way. So that's called reverse alphabetical order or Z to A. Fine. So that is what alphabetical order logic might be given in your exam. So these are called logics. Now these logics are used in certain patterns. What are patterns? Very similar, which you already know, but I'll again briefing you. Let's suppose I have a word called explain. Now this explain is written in this way. Let's suppose E is written as G, this is written as Z, P is written as R, L is written as N, A is written as C, I is written as K, N is written as P. So once I'll be writing the positions of all these letters, what I'll realize that all the letters positions are increased by 2 here in the bottom. You see, that is what they given. Now How it is written, that's what called pattern. First letter with first letter, second letter increased by 2 with second, and so on. So that parallelly, if the codes are given, called parallel pattern. Sometimes it can be cross diagonal also in this way. Sometimes it can be this way, first with last, second with second last, and so on. So if that is the pattern given to you, in certain particular logic you have to identify, and that is what the meaning of pattern is all about. So once you'll go into the question, definitely you'll find out. With the help of few examples, I try to explain you what is called patterns. Now, by using these logics and patterns followed by certain more logics which I'll be discussing in the question directly, we can solve all these questions in coding decoding, the basic questions of later to later and later to number. Now, moving toward the next part, already I told you patterns. If you wanted to know a few more patterns, I'll give you a brief of certain more patterns. Like patterns not only will be given into one form, like either it will be parallel in this way or it will be cross diagonal in this way. It can be a hybrid of those two also, which I think already shown you in the past, like this. So we have a cross diagonal pattern followed by a parallel pattern also in the first three letters or numbers, whatever given. Cross diagonal with parallel. So this is called mixed pattern. These are the basic three patterns which we are using. One is parallel, the other is diagonal, and by using these two there are so many mixed patterns we can create, and that only will be identified in the question once we are solving it. Now moving towards the question, the later to later coding question, how it looks and how to approach it. For this I am giving you a example how to solve it. So the very important thing of question is to knowing the position of the letters. So first, as I told you, first we have to decode that how this is written in this particular code, and then by using the same concept which we are applying here, the logics, we will find out the code of this particular word standard. Now here, how it is written, so I am writing here, that's the general notation or the way to solve the question of later to later coding or later to number coding. Write down the codes just below the word so that you can find out what actually they are doing in this. Now next part is positions, so obviously write down the positions: 13, 15, 14, 1, 18, 3, 8, 25, and then here we have 14, 16, 15, then again we have 2, 19, 4, 9 and 26. So as I can see clearly, this is plus 1, plus 1, plus 1, that too parallel. You see, it's a parallel pattern given to us with the logic of plus 1 in all the letters. So we'll use the same to identify the code of standard. So obviously 5 options will be given here to you. I not took actually, because I have to explain this how to solve and what will be the approach. Now once you decoded that, there is no need to write a standard and their code by drawing that arrow and adding plus 1 with the positions. You have 5 options given. Among one there will be a right answer. Now what you have to do is to eliminate the options by just finding the positions which are uncommon. Let's suppose there is a word which having so many letters common in this option. So that letters are not useful for us because anyways they are same. We need to only focus on those letters in these 5 options which are not same, and accordingly you just eliminate them. Right now, just to explain, I am trying to solve here what will be the code of this. Obviously in the coming sessions we are discussing it in more depth. So this is 19, 20, 1, 14, 4, 1, 18, and this is also 4. Now we have to add this one. Generally that is what, being a beginner, we used to do in our competition. But once we becomes pro after getting one to failure by giving few exams, we used to get to know that this is not actually we have to do once we decoded this. We just have to go into the option and to check which will be the code of this by just recalling these letters into our mind. So S plus 1 is what? T. T plus 1 is what? U. So obviously few options will not start with either T or second letter as U, can eliminate that. Then here we have B, then here we have what? O, then it's E, then again we have B, then we have S, then we have E. So out of 5 options, definitely one will follow it and that will become your right choice, whatever it is. But you don't have to write in this way. Directly you check in the option and that will become your right answer. So this is how we will approach in this later to later. Obviously it is parallel pattern with +1 logic. In some questions, some different pattern and logic can be possible. That also we can understand with the help of another question. So let's go with this and try and find out. Now it's your turn to identify what actually will be the code of termite. Meanwhile, I'm trying to answer this. You try to answer in the comment. We have ARCHERY, right? So it is coded as DSBGZSF, right? So actually how they did it? So it's 1, 18, 3, 8, 5, 18, 25. Then it is what? It's like 4. This is 19. This is 2. This is 7. This is 26. This is 19. And this is 6. Now how it is written, that is the question. So let's see how many of you are able to identify that. And accordingly you have to find out the code of termite also. First decode the logic and then find out the code of termite. Decode it, already I given you how these are written and what are the positions. Crack the logic and then find out what will be the code of it. So that is what you have to do it, and you need to tell us what will be the code of termite here with the help of the concept which I discussed in this particular session. Fine, it's your turn to answer the question. Now moving forward, it's later to number coding. Obviously it is later to number coding or number to later coding, both can be possible, because from anywhere to anywhere they can ask you. From later to number they will give you as a code, or number to later they will give you as a code. For example, in this question you see the numbers are actually coded in this form. Like 2 is written as P, 3 as N, and 9 as O, 5 as R, 4 as A, 6 as B. Then what will be the code of these numbers? So it's direct substitution. That is called direct coding also. What it is called? Direct coding. Means 5 will be written as what? R. 9 will be written as O. 4 will be written as A. 2 will be written as P. And 3 will be written as N. So that will be your code. So it's a very basic type of question which I discussed here, but generally they used to ask this type of question in your exam, which we are right now viewing. Later to number coding, in that they used to ask what will be the code of this. So how to approach this? Again same, how it is written, that's important. So there are 4 letters in Rome and it is written by 4 digits. There is word done where we have 4 letters and it is written as 4-digit code. So obviously mean will be also written in a 4-digit code. But what will be that code? You need to identify from this two. How? Multiple choices. First is you need to check if more than 1 words are given, like we have more than 1 word. So very first thing you have to check is what direct coding is given or what. How to identify it? It's very simple. If the letters of mean coming from Rome and done, then this is called a direct coding question, and generally they used to ask frequently this type of question because we as a student is stuck in finding the logics rather than identifying Identify actually is coming from these two or not. Like see, M is from Rome, E is coming from Dun, A is coming from Rome, N is coming from Dun. So directly you can pick all these letters position because it is not following any pattern. It's direct coding. R is coded as 5, O is coded as 9. You see here if you want to check it once, and accordingly. So M will be what? Nothing but 3. E will be what? Nothing but 2. A will be what? Nothing but 1. N will be what? Nothing but 6. And that is how you can decode it. Sometimes they used to give the logics also. How they write those things, so they will not give you first two words. They will give you single word and the code. For example, let's suppose here only Rome is coded in this way, like 9, 6, 1, 4. Then find out the code of mean. So you can see all the letters of mean is not coming from Rome. Then you have to apply logic. How? There are so many logics because there are only 4 digits are used. It means very simple that for a letter a number is used. So how to identify it? So the code of or position of R is 18. Add 2 numbers together, you will get 9. O position is what? 15. Add together, you will get 6. As A is single, so it is written as it is. M is 13, so 3 plus 1 is 4. Similarly, here also 1 plus 3, what will get? 4. As E will be 5, A will be 1, but N will be 1 plus 4 means again 5. So that will be your code of mean. 4515. So I think it is clear how to identify, where to use logic and where to identify direct coding. This is the approach actually throughout in the question of letter to number. Remaining conceptually letter to letter and letter to number are same. Now what is called first substitution you need to know. Substitution synonyms is replacement. Might be in IPL which was conducted in the last year or this year, you found that there was a substitute player playing. When a batsman was playing, the bowler was sitting outside and bowler was playing, that batsman was substituted by that. What they were using is super sub or something like that, the word they were using it. So it's like nothing but replacing the bowler with the batsman and vice versa. Here also we are doing the same thing. We are replacing a word with the another word. So when substitution started coming into the exam, it was coming like this. White means black, black means red, red means blue, blue means yellow, yellow means gray. Then what will be the color of sky? So obviously sky color will be blue, right? So what generally people believe that blue is written as yellow, yellow is written as gray, therefore it's gray, blue is gray, but no. White code is black. This black has no relation with this black at all. Now this black is a different word which code is red. Now this red is not the red which written here. This is a word which is coded as blue. Now this blue is not related to this. This blue is coded as yellow. This yellow is a different word. This is a code, this is a word. That's the meaning. Now if you want to know it in more detail, that's your word, that's your code. Now this is another word and its code. That's a word and its code. So code and word can't be same, right? That red is a code of certain word. So it can't be the word which is code. That is what you have to understand. So as the color of clear sky is blue, and we can see here that blue word is coded as what? Yellow. So our answer will be what? The code yellow. That is what the meaning of this. Now this substitution taken a larger change, you say, in your examination, and it's not coming in this way now. It generally comes in your SSC exams nowadays. Even if in SSC you'll ask, they're not asking you this level of question, but sometimes they used to ask. Now this is now converted into sentence based coding. Now we are getting sentences rather than a word, in which we have that which I told you, this Chinese coding, or this coding which is having letter plus number plus symbol. So in the next session I'll be covering these two, what is Chinese coding and how we can solve it. But remember, we are using the same concept of substitution there, so it's very important when you are going into that part. Your homework is to understand what is called substitution coding. You have so many sources, you have book, you can go at least go through. Definitely I'll be discussing it in more detail, but if you are preparing a few words or few things, obviously you'll be grabbing my words more easily than ever. So better what you are going to learn in the next class, note today itself, so that you'll be focused in the next classes. Okay, so I'm just giving a glimpse of it, how this substitution works in the sentence based coding and why it is called Chinese. Now by this question you can identify it, why it is called Chinese coding. As you can see here on your screen, these are the words which are very similar to this Mandarin language, ni, ma, de. So it's more sounds like Chinese, therefore we give a name as Chinese coding. So obviously in the next session I'll be starting from here itself, telling you or briefing you the concept, how to approach, so that in less time you can answer more questions, and how you can maintain the accuracy also in the next session. So that is the question from where I'll start in the next session. Till then, your work is to prepare it, all the things which I discussed in today's class, that is later to later and later to number coding. Followed by that, do homeworks which I given you today, as well as try to learn things which need to be learned from the next session. That's all from my side in today's concept of coding decoding. Hope it is clear to all of you now the concept. Thank you all for joining us on Career Maker. Thank you and bye-bye.